I'm Jason and I'm 28. Growing up, I was always the quiet one in the family. I never really made demands, caused problems, or stirred things up. It was just the part I played, and I stayed in it for years. It was mostly a habit, but also because I thought if I kept my nose clean long enough, they'd finally get me, truly see me. Not just as the dependable one or the one who's easy to please, but as a son, a brother, someone who deserved the same level of attention as everyone else. But it never happened. And this year on my birthday, I just broke. It kicked off the way every family thing did. Mom texted me earlier in the week just saying, "We'll do something small Sunday." No, what do you want? No concrete plans. No fancy dinner reservations, nothing exciting. Just, oh yeah, we'll do something. I knew not to get my hopes up, but a part of me still hoped because just 3 weeks before, for my little brother Ryan's 25th, they went all out. They threw a huge party, rented a party bus, blasted music throughout the neighborhood, and even surprised him with a weekend trip. Everyone posted pictures on Instagram with gushing captions like "best brother ever" and "can't live without this guy." I put on a fake smile for the group photos, held the camera steady when asked to film, and didn't say a thing when nobody thanked me for footing the bill for the catering up front. That was always my role, the invisible guy. Okay, so it was Sunday, you know? I got there around noon, wearing jeans and a polo, nothing fancy, but I'd at least shaved and brought some pastries from the bakery down the street. Emma, my sister, opened the door, totally glued to her phone. Barely a hi before she disappeared inside. The living room? Dead quiet, no party stuff, nothing. Not even a happy birthday banner. Just Mom in the kitchen pulling out this sad little plastic-wrapped cupcake from the fridge, setting it on a plate. "There you go," she said, all tired like she was handing me some super rare treasure. "You still like vanilla, right?" I just looked at that cupcake. The icing was already melting, and some weirdo had stuck a crooked candle in it. Then Dad walks in from the garage with a card, one of those last-minute drugstore things, already signed by everyone in different handwriting. No sweet message or anything, just a bunch of names under some cheesy aging joke. I didn't say anything for a minute. I couldn't trust myself to. I just stood there, trying not to cry. It wasn't exactly anger, you know, it was way worse. Like I'd spent years pretending it was fine to be ignored, and suddenly I couldn't keep up the act anymore. Then Dad pats me on the shoulder. "Go ahead, make a wish," he says. "And hey, don't expect a parade, you're not a kid anymore." That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. I glanced up at him, then over at my mom, totally absorbed in her phone like she hadn't even heard a peep. My brother was MIA, probably still nursing a birthday hangover. Emma had vanished upstairs. I was alone in the kitchen, gazing at a cupcake nobody even bothered to light the candle on right. I huffed out the flame without saying anything, grabbed my stuff, and just walked out the front door. Nobody tried to stop me. Nobody even asked where I was headed. I got in my car, drove back to my place, and sat there in the parking lot for a good 15 minutes before I could even bring myself to move. It wasn't just about the stupid cupcake. It wasn't just about this one crummy year. It was about every single year. Every time I'd quietly paid a bill, offered to help with moving, babysat the little ones, driven 2 hours for holidays without expecting anything in return. Every single time I'd made myself smaller, quieter, easier to deal with, because I thought that's what my family needed from me. Later that night, after I'd checked into a hotel a few towns over, I finally looked at my phone. One text from Emma. It said, "Mom's crying. Where are you?" I stared at the message for a long time, my thumbs hovering, wondering what I was supposed to feel. Guilt. Regret. A sudden urge to go rushing back and try to fix it all. Instead, I shut off my phone. Click. Closed my eyes, and for the first time in ages, I just let the silence wash over me without feeling the need to apologize for it. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I had to. The morning was quiet, no work ringing in, no family messages buzzing my phone yet, but I was still amped from last night. I drifted off with that familiar squeeze in my chest, the kind that just lingers. The hotel room was silent. Bland beige walls, starched sheets, the AC's low drone. It felt sterile, detached, but in a bizarre way it felt good. No family portraits, no under-the-breath remarks leaking from a neighboring room, just peace. I glanced at my phone. Missed calls from Mom, one from Dad, a few from Emma, nothing from Ryan. Honestly, I wasn't shocked. He probably didn't even realize, or maybe he didn't care that I'd left. I didn't pick up any of the calls, not yet. I needed space, a moment to breathe. For once, I needed to really feel without having to justify it to anyone who thought I was dramatic or overreacting. Around midday, I went downstairs to the hotel cafe, got a real breakfast. Eggs, toast, coffee that wasn't ancient, and I brought my laptop. I started looking through my emails and bank accounts. It wasn't just mindless browsing. I was strategizing. See, here's something my family didn't really discuss. I had, without fanfare, become the financial support system for that whole bunch. Not because they were broke, but because they were just careless. My parents in their late 50s had made some really terrible investments, and I'd quietly buylaid them out more than a handful of times. Helping Emma with her tuition seemed like the right thing to do. Same with Ryan when he was short on rent after moving out. I spotted him a couple grand to help him get settled. Back home, my name was on everything at my parents', placed the internet bill half the mortgage, even though nobody ever acknowledged it at family dinners. And don't even get me started on the upkeep for Dad's car, which mostly came out of my pocket. I honestly thought I was doing the right thing, but yesterday something clicked. It hit me that they weren't just leaning on me. They were taking me for granted. They saw me as a safety net, not someone being kind. I was a walking ATM, not their daughter. The worst part? They didn't even bother to hide it. This morning after I ate, I sat down and made a list. I went through every single account where my name was attached: payments, co-owner, anything financial. Then I started making calls and firing off emails. Just like that, calmly and steadily, I began cutting ties. Canceled the car insurance on Dad's car. I had my own policy anyway. Took my name off the utilities at my parents' house. Scheduled it to disconnect at the end of the billing cycle. No big blow-up, just clean and simple. I even closed the joint bank account I had with Mom, the one I'd been putting money into every month to help her out. I moved what was left back into my own savings and sent her a quick email explaining that I couldn't keep giving her money anymore. Okay, so everything went. Netflix, Hulu, all those streaming things that just kept charging my card, poof. I logged out of every single device. Man, I felt a little better afterward, not completely free, but lighter. Like a huge weight I'd been lugging around by myself for ages was finally starting to lift. I stayed at the hotel for another couple of days. Emma texted 3 more times. One was like, "Seriously, where are you? Mom's freaking out." Another just said, "This is childish." And the last one, that one hit me. It said, "You know you hurt them, right?" It wasn't that it was true, but it nailed the whole problem. I had hurt them. They couldn't even grasp that I'd been hurt first. On the 3rd day, I finally texted back. Just one message. "Ask Mom what she got me for my birthday." 5 minutes later, Emma wrote back, "Jason, it's not a competition." I didn't reply. I just drove back to my place. It wasn't about hiding. I just wasn't about to crawl back, tail between my legs, and apologize for, setting a boundary. That whole weekend, radio silence. But Monday morning, my dad called. I let it go to voicemail. His message was short and sharp. "Jason, we need to talk. You're going too far. Your mother's really upset. We're family. Call me back." Family, that used to mean something. Now it just sounded like their get-out-of-jail-free card. I didn't call him back. So later that afternoon, there was a knock. Totally unexpected. I peeked through the peephole, and there was Ryan. Backpack slung over his shoulder, looking like he hadn't seen a bed in a week. "Open up, man," he said. "We gotta talk." That's when things started changing, slowly but definitely. I didn't open the door right away. I just stood there, staring at him like he was some stranger I'd never met. My little brother. Golden boy, the favorite. The one who got all the cheers, the weekend trips, the surprise parties, and the "we're so proud of you" speeches I never heard growing up. We used to be close, or so I thought. Then I realized it was mostly me, always bailing him out, covering his tracks, cleaning up his messes so he could just keep on coasting. He'd never just shown up like this before. Never uninvited, never unannounced, and definitely not when things got hairy at home. He said again, quieter this time, "Jason, come on." I sighed and cracked the door open just enough to lean against the frame. "What do you want?" He gave this goofy half-smile like we were still kids and he'd just smashed a window with a baseball. "Look," he said, "I didn't realize it was, that bad." I raised an eyebrow. Didn't realize what was bad. That nobody bothered to get me anything better than a grocery store cupcake for my birthday, or that I was paying your rent 3 months ago while everyone else was throwing you some huge party. He shuffled his feet, trying to act all nonchalant. Man, that was totally messed up. But like you didn't say a word. I almost cracked a smile, not 'cause it was funny, but it was so predictable. "Of course I didn't," I told him. "Why would I? 'Cause that's how I was raised. In that house, if I wanted attention, I was a drama queen. If I asked for anything, I was selfish. And if I ever said I felt left out, 'Stop making it about you,' was the usual response. He didn't say anything back, just stared at his shoes, fiddling with the back of his neck. "Yeah, that sounded about right. And you just let it happen," I said, "every single time. You knew better." He didn't even try to deny it. Finally, he mumbled, "I didn't think it mattered to you. You always seemed fine, like you didn't care about that stuff." Wow, that stung. I was really good at pretending, at keeping things inside, at being the one nobody had to worry about. But I was exhausted. So tired of being the strong one so everyone else could fall apart. I opened the door all the way and gestured for him to come in. We sat on the couch and I just waited. Let the silence hang heavy in the air. I wanted him to feel it. The weight I carried, all that silence he'd never even noticed before. "So now what?" he finally asked, picking at a loose thread on his sleeve. "You just cutting everyone off?" I shrugged. "It's not spite," I said. "I'm just done being used." He chuckled, a bitter, dry sound. "You think they'll even care?" "Oh, they will," I told him. "Mom's already crying, remember?" He grimaced. "She's a wreck. She keeps saying she didn't mean for it to be messed up. It's kinda rich, her saying that now." Ryan actually looked at me then, really looked. Not like he usually did, like a little bro, but like a dude who just got it that he'd crossed some major lines with me. "What do you want me to do?" he asked, like he could just fix everything, you know. "Tell me what you need." That was a rare moment of him being real, being humble. I almost believed him, but I also knew it wasn't just about me. It was about this whole house of cards Mom and Dad built with me as the base. And now that I was starting to walk away, it was all gonna collapse. "Tell them the truth," I said. "Tell them you saw me leave 'cause I'm sick of being treated like I'm invisible. Tell them I'm not helping with money anymore, not a penny. Just until the end of the month. No more paying for Dad's truck or Mom's meds or Emma's school." He just nodded slowly, finally understanding the weight of it all. "And if they ask why," I added, "don't tell them I'm pissed. Tell them I'm done." He left without saying anything else, just a small nod like he finally got it. Or at least he was trying to. I didn't think he'd change overnight. I didn't expect any of them to. But I knew something had changed in my gut. Later that night, I got a voicemail from Mom. She didn't scream, didn't try to make me feel guilty. Her voice was soft, worn out. "Jason, I didn't mean for it to be so unfair. I guess I thought you didn't need the same stuff." I could have been totally wrong to think that. I really am sorry. I wish they would reach out even just a little. But I just didn't, not yet. Because instead of saying they were sorry, it was like they were refusing to admit anything. Then came the guilt trip. And then the real manipulation started. 2 whole days went by. No calls, no texts, nothing, just total silence. Then, just like I knew it would, it all went down the drain. It started with a message from Emma, not a quick text, but a long, over-the-top email. The subject line was, "You're destroying this family." I knew what it was going to say before I even opened it, but of course I had to, so I clicked on the first line. "I don't know what's come over you, Jason, but this isn't how families work." She went on to list everything I had supposedly done wrong. Leaving, ditching Mom, making a scene, and not helping out. Like I was punishing them. She said I was acting like I didn't even know them, that our parents were suffering, and it was my job to keep the family together. My job. Not Ryan's, not hers, just mine. No mention of the whole cupcake thing, no mention of how they always treated me unfairly or how I'd been helping them out financially for years. Just a guilt trip disguised as caring. The worst part. She finished it with, "If you don't come over this weekend, I don't know if we can ever make things right." I just sat there, staring at the screen, not even surprised by the words themselves, but how predictable it all was. That weekend came and went. I didn't go. Sunday night, I got a text from Dad, just 2 words, "Call me." I didn't. He showed up at my place, 2 quick knocks, then a harder one. When I didn't budge, I heard his voice coming right through the door. It was low and serious, but also kinda angry. "Jason, cut this out. Open the damn door." I didn't say anything. He knocked again. "I know you're in there." I just stayed silent. Then he said something that made me want to punch a wall. "You're making your mother ill, you realize that?" Classic, emotional manipulation. I unlocked the door slowly and just stood there. We just looked at each other for a beat. He had that look like he'd planned this out. I could just tell he wasn't here to listen, he was here to be right. "Are you done with the pity party?" he asked. That word, pity party, that really got to me. "Is that what you think this is?" I asked, real quiet. He said, stepping inside without an invitation, "I think this whole thing has gone on long enough. Your mother's been a mess. Emma's pissed. And Ryan, well, he's trying, but this is ridiculous." I stood there, trying to keep it together. "You're calling it a stunt," he scoffed. "Because we didn't throw a party, right? Come on, Jason, you're 30 years old. You don't need the whole shebang." "No," I said. "I needed to feel like I mattered. I needed someone to actually show me that I'm not just the guy who keeps things running in the background. The one everyone relies on but no one really sees." He just rolled his eyes. "You've always been dramatic." That word again. "Dramatic." I let out this harsh, short laugh. "You know what? Just go." He looked confused, so I repeated myself. I said, "Get out. You came here to lecture me, not to apologize, not even to try and understand. You only came because things are a mess now that I'm not footing the bill for everything." He gave me this narrow-eyed look. "You think this is all about the money?" "I know it is," I shot back. The second I closed the bank account, the whole house of cards started to crumble. Dad just stood there, steaming mad. Then, in a voice I hadn't heard since I was little, he said, "You think you're better than us now, don't you?" I looked him right in the eyes. No, I just finally think I deserve to be treated as an equal." He walked out without saying another word. The next day, my family group chat, which I hadn't left, just muted, exploded. My sister Emma said she was disappointed in me, how I handled everything. Mom sent a one-liner, "I don't even know who you are anymore." And then my brother Ryan chimed in, saying something like, "I'm the only adult in this family now. Took me long enough to realize it." Then silence. The next few days were eerily quiet. I actually thought it might be over, finally. But that's when things really took a turn. I got a certified letter in the mail from a lawyer. It was a notice from my parents saying they were cutting me out of there because of our estrangement and my recent behavior. I sat at my kitchen table, holding that paper, this cold dread washing over me. Not because I cared about the money, not at all. But because they actually thought that would have any power over me. They had no idea. I knew the score already. I'd glanced at the paperwork 2 years back when I chipped in for the lawyer. It wasn't me who was going to get the big payoff. It was Ryan. They were just pulling this charade now, acting like I had a shot at something I'd already been shut out of. Like I should be happy with the leftovers. That was the breaking point. I didn't shed any tears, didn't even yell. I just got up, went over to my desk, and grabbed the folder marked receipts, both real and symbolic. I had every email, every money transfer, every bill I'd covered for them these last 5 years. I wasn't gathering this stuff to get even. I did it because I learned the hard way that people will twist the truth if you let them. And I wasn't going to let them do that to me. I spent the entire night going through that folder, every payment, every receipt, every little thank you text I got after I'd paid another family bill. I screenshotted bank statements, hunted down emailed invoices, pulled up old texts that said, "Hey, could you cover this month, just until things are better?" I constructed a timeline, organized, detailed, impossible to dispute. Then I wrote a letter. No feelings, no anger, just the facts. I listed all the amounts. I put down exact dates. I pointed out the utility accounts still in my name, the car insurance payments, the emergency transfers when Mom's credit card was maxed out or Dad's truck needed fixing. I ended it with a single sentence. "Okay, here's the deal. This is an official heads up that, as of today, I'm cutting off all financial help, period. Direct, indirect, you name it." I basically slapped it all together and emailed it out to everyone. Mom, Dad, Emma, even Ryan, each with a separate email, all marked with a red receipt to make sure they got the message. I also copied my lawyer on it, the one who sent me the estate stuff, with a little note. "Thanks for the heads up." I made sure to add that I was never supposed to get anything from the inheritance anyway, so they didn't need to try and scare me with cutting me out. I'm not in it for the leftovers. I've been the one keeping the whole operation afloat. Less than an hour later, my phone started blowing up. Emma was first. I let it go straight to voicemail. Then Mom and Dad called. After that, the family group chat exploded. Most of it was the same old song and dance, "This is so over the top." Or "You're making a huge deal out of nothing." And my personal favorite, "This isn't how families handle things." Yeah, right, because apparently families only handle problems when they don't have to look at their own crap. Then Ryan texted me privately. I read it all. I honestly didn't realize it was that bad. I just texted him back, "Well, now you do." He didn't answer, but I saw later that night he left the group chat. The next weekend, my Aunt Mom's sister called. I hadn't talked to her in ages. We only ever saw each other at holidays, and she lives way out of state. But she'd seen the fallout, heard their side of the story, and then saw my email, which Mom had forwarded to everyone with some over-the-top headline. "Can you believe what Jason's become?" my aunt asked me on the phone. I knew she wanted to hear the whole story from me, so I told her everything, slowly and carefully. I didn't make anything bigger than it was, and I didn't try to make myself look good. I just told it like a story I finally felt okay with sharing. When I finished, she sighed really deeply. "I always wondered why they always leaned on you so much," she said. "I figured it was a two-way street. I never knew they never gave you anything back." That was the first time I'd ever heard anyone in my family say anything like that. She didn't try to suggest a fix, and she didn't try to make it all better, just acknowledge the truth. That meant more to me than any party. In the weeks that followed, stuff shifted, but it wasn't like any of those fake TV shows. There was no massive family gathering, no tearful apologies, and no big hug while it was raining outside. Instead, the quiet stretched out, and it became heavier, but also somehow more calm. My mom tried a few more times to get in touch. She even sent a letter, handwritten, super long, and it sort of went all over the place. Part of it was an apology, and part of it was a guilt trip. She said she never realized how much I did, that she thought I was fine with it, that she wasn't perfect, but that she always meant well. And honestly, I believed that she did. But I also believed that good intentions don't wipe away years of pretending not to see, so I wrote back, "I don't hate you. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but I'm not going to keep pretending. I'm not the strong one, and I shouldn't have been forced to be. Look, I'm fine with some distance if that's what it takes for people to actually see me. She didn't say anything. I ran into Emma a few months later at a wedding we both knew people at. She came up to me kind of tense, holding her drink like a barrier, and said I looked good. I said the same back to her. We stood there awkwardly for a second. Then she said, Ryan's changed. He's like more centered now. I nodded, thinking the reality check finally got through to him. She added, I never wanted things to get so bad. I know, I told her. But I also think the coldness helped me figure out what was real. She didn't argue, just gave me this sad smile, then disappeared back into the party. Later, my dad reached out again, not to say he was sorry, but to propose a fresh start. He wanted us to forget everything and come over for Thanksgiving. I said no. I'm building my own life now, I told him. Maybe someday we could meet halfway, but not yet, because here's the thing. He wasn't actually trying to make amends. He just wanted to rewind, the kind where no one talks about what happened and everything's just like before. But I didn't want that. I wanted the truth. And I learned that people who won't face the pain aren't ready to start over. Trust takes time. I filled the void they left. I started spending more weekends with friends who didn't treat me like I was there just to fix things. I reconnected with some old college buddies. I even joined a hiking group, something I'd never had time for before because I was always busy being needed. My next birthday, I spent it in a little cabin with 3 of my best friends, and honestly, I didn't expect anything. No big, fancy party, no issues. Just a weekend where it was calm, with some laughs, and surrounded by people who were there because they wanted to be, you know. No pressure, no reminders needed. That's when I truly felt celebrated for the first time. Not because of anything I'd done or what I could provide, but simply for being me. So this isn't a story with crazy fireworks or getting back at anyone. Instead, it's about quietly taking back my time, my space, my value. I didn't make enemies, I just stopped fixing relationships that always took me somewhere I didn't belong. And I'm not mad anymore. I'm free, and that's so much better than all those party buses, all those banners, those cards that said, from all of us, that I never asked for but always pretended were good enough. Now I don't take the scraps from someone else's table. I set my own, and I only let people in who bring their true selves.